Hi, I'm Melinda and welcome to Web of Stories. I am filming today from my kitchen with the camera strategically placed so you don't see how messy it is. And the reason I'm here is I am doing a book tag. I am doing the Yes Chef book tag from Bandy's Books. I was not directly tagged in this, but I saw Middle of the Book March do it, and she just tagged anyone who wanted to do it. So I'm considering myself tagged. I'm someone who actually I have in the past enjoyed cooking. And then I had children and they started having opinions and cooking became less fun. So maybe in the future I might enjoy cooking a bit more. But I do cook quite a bit because someone has to feed said children. So this felt like a tag that I should be doing. I have read a few books written by chefs. I can't remember all of them. And some of them I read so long ago, I noticed that they aren't logged on Goodreads. But I have read Kitchen Confidential. I think everyone, that's, of course, everyone's read Kitchen Confidential by Anthony Bourdain. And I also read, I wrote it down here, The Nasty Bits, which I also really enjoyed. I really liked Anthony Bourdain. He was really obnoxious in sort of a bizarrely likable way. Or bizarrely unlikable, that so much that he was likable way in Kitchen Confidential. But as he matured, he became much easier to love. And, it was quite sad when he passed. I also more recently read Eat a Peach by David Chang. I will admit I didn't enjoy that one as much. And I don't know if that's because the bar was set too high by Anthony Bourdain or if Eat a Peach just didn't resonate with me. But that's the one that I can written by a chef that I have read most recently. I do have a Girl Holds a Knife or Girl with a Knife or something like that by Amy Thielen, which I do want to read that one because I have enjoyed hers. I actually have her cookbook. I didn't pull that one out, but I do enjoy when she I don't know if she still has a show, but she did have a show where she cooks sort of Midwestern food. And my family, I am from Oregon, but my family's from the Midwest, so I enjoyed that. I actually do notice food descriptions in books because it's sensory. So if it's written well, of course you're not just going to notice it. You're going to start tasting what's being described if it's done well. So I don't know how you can read a food description that's at least average and not notice it because it just hits you in a different place. There are books that aren't even about food, but there'll be a scene and I will just be thinking about the food for the rest of the book. So of course I noticed them. So I was trying to think what book I've read that had the best food description. And I'm taking out of the equation books by chefs right now. And the one that I could think of was From Scratch by Tembi Locke, which is a very sad book. I've not yet watched this show, although I plan to at some point watch the show, but I got to have a lot of Kleenex first because that's a sad story. But, oh man, her descriptions of Sicilian food are just amazing. And yes, there are recipes in that book. I printed them out because I had the digital copy. So I printed out the recipes and I'm going to make the sauce because that looked really good. So I have a funny story about like being inspired to prepare a meal or food from a book. A year or so ago, I read A Tiger in the Kitchen by, let me see if I get this author's name right, Cheryl Lien-Tan, which is a book about, she is an Asian American, but she talks about, I think she's from Singapore or Malaysia. I can't quite remember, but she talks about like the food in her family, and there's lots of descriptions of Asian food, and they're great descriptions. But I will say I was not inspired to make Asian food from this. I like Asian food. I'm not wowed by it. But along with this book, she talks about a personal little project she's doing where she's baking her way through, I can't remember the name of the book, but it's like an encyclopedia of bread. So she's making all these breads. And let me tell you, I wanted to make bread so badly reading that book. So yes, I didn't actually get around to making the bread because that's a lot of work. But I really wanted to make bread reading that book. And that was, again, A Tiger in the Kitchen, which, you'll either want to make bread or you'll want to make Asian food, one of the two. I don't know. So if I have a favorite cookbook, I actually recently purged a lot of my cookbooks. So the ones I have probably all kind of qualify as favorites, but I pulled two out that I wanted to share. And this one is the Good Housekeeping Illustrated Cookbook. I got this for Christmas, I believe. I'm going to check the copyright here because I have it in my mind. I was like 10 years old when I got this. It's from Reader's Digest. I could have been 10 years old when I got this. I'm not going to tell you when it was published, but, you know, because you guys don't need to do the math. But my mom gave this to me because I was starting to really get into cooking and learning things. And this is a very basic book on how to cook things. And there's no super fancy, you know, there's no super fancy recipe in here. I mean, I opened it to simmered chicken. We're not, you know, it's basically how to cook certain things, not try to cook the most complicated things, but it's a great book. It's a reference book. Like, this is not really a book I would go for a recipe at this point, but if I had a new food and I wanted to know how to cook it, I would go look at this. This is priceless to me. Plus, it's, you know, it was a gift from my mom, so of course I'm probably gonna keep this one and then pass it on as I bequeath it upon my passing to my children, and then it will be their problem. And the other one I pulled out was so this is Instant Pot Family Meals, and it doesn't say who the author is on it, but the author is Ivy Manning. And disclaimer, I know Ivy Manning. I've taken cooking classes from her. She has done a cooking class in my home. We are Facebook friends. I follow her on Instagram, but she has written several cookbooks, and recently she got into writing for Instant Pots, and her recipes are fantastic. I've had recipes of hers that maybe didn't appeal to my taste, but I've never had a recipe from her that didn't work. So this one, we have a number of recipes out of this book that I make for the kids, and it's Instant Pot, so it's so easy. And she has, I think she has 3 Instant Pot cookbooks, something like that. And I know she has another cookbook coming out somewhat in the future, because I saw that she posted that she had just sent off her manuscript. So we'll see what she comes up with next. So I had to think about what author I would want to share a meal with. And I came up with Agatha Christie, which, you know, you don't really think of food when you think of Agatha Christie. But I recently read the new biography by Lucy Worsley. And one thing about Agatha Christie is she loved life. And a part of the life that she loved was eating and drinking. And she was fearless. She was fearless in everything. And I would very much like to share a meal with her and hear some of her stories, because she sounded like a fantastic woman. So this last question, there's 2 parts. So, like, what food would you eat for your last meal? Like, if you could only, well, how does it say? You're only 24 hours to live. Your last meal and what book you would read. So my last meal is easy. It would be steak and potatoes. Like, that's what I grew up eating. My father, like, always makes, that's his dish to make whenever company comes over, steak and potatoes. So definitely steak and potatoes. Now, as for the book, I am going to answer what my answer would be right now, which in about 6 weeks will probably change. And right now, if I had 24 hours to live and only time to read one book, it would be The Adventures of Huckleberry Finn by Mark Twain. And there's a reason for this. It is not because I love this book. I have never read this book. It is not because I feel I need to read it to be well-rounded, because I don't think you do. It's not even that I think it's some wonderful book that's going to rock my world, because I don't think it is. But as I have told the story on my channel in the past, when I was a junior in high school, was the year that we take American Lit. And there was a district test where everyone had to read Huckleberry Finn and then take an essay exam on it. And then we would be graded. And I tried to read Huckleberry Finn, and I couldn't do it. I couldn't get past the dialect in it. So I couldn't make sense of what people were saying. And this was a time before, I mean, audiobooks existed in that you could go to the library and get a set of like 20 cassettes, and it was very monotone. They were really designed for people who were hearing impaired. They were not designed for anybody else. And so an audiobook was out of the question at the time. And I didn't read it. And then I got the test and I was worried. And I realized that one of the answers on the test, which was more like how is racism portrayed in this or whatever, I could answer this from things that we discussed in the class. So I wrote an essay, not having read the book, and I got like the highest score in the district. And now I feel like I'm in debt, and I feel like I got away with something that I shouldn't have. And so I don't want to meet my maker with this on my conscience. So if I only had one day to live, it would be, and I could only read one book, it would be Huckleberry Finn, so that I will have paid that debt. Now I say, like, in 6 weeks I'll have a different answer. It's because I have the audiobook of Huckleberry Finn on my phone. I was actually planning to start it right away, and then I put 2 and 2 together and realized this is Black History Month, and reading Huckleberry Finn just felt really wrong. So I'm going to hold it till March, and I'm going to listen to books by African American authors, of which I have quite a few on my phone, or on my Libro queue to read. So in about 6 weeks, I will have read Huckleberry Finn, and then I will have to choose another book for this question. The last question, or the last prompt, is to tag some friends. And I always have a hard time with tagging because I don't know who's done prompts and who doesn't. And with this one, I don't know who's interested in cooking and who isn't. So I'm going to tag everyone who watches this video who has an interest in doing this tag and who likes to cook. I wish I could be more specific for that, but I can't. I would actually, if you do feel tempted to do this tag, I highly recommend it because Bambi Books is doing a giveaway. If you do this, I believe the deadline is like February 20th. There's like a gift card to a bookstore. So it's a good motivation to do this if you want to. But so if you're watching this, you like to cook, you want to do a book tag, here you go. I will put all the questions in the comment box below. And so thank you for joining me. I need to make dinner. Probably need to clean the kitchen a little bit first. I need to make dinner. So if you enjoyed this video, please like it, subscribe, and I will see you in the next video. Thank you so much.